When a man begins having intense thoughts about a woman, his behavior starts changing long before he ever admits it out loud. Human psychology reveals that attraction is rarely silent. It leaks through actions, body language, attention, and emotional reactions. Many women ignore these signals because they seem small at first, but the truth is that desire often hides inside ordinary behavior. A man may suddenly become more focused on you than before. He notices details other people miss. He remembers what you said days ago. He becomes deeply engaged in conversations that once felt casual. This happens because the mind naturally gives extra attention to whatever emotionally excites it. When a man begins having strong romantic or physical thoughts about a woman, one of the first things that changes is his level of attention. Attraction sharpens focus in a powerful way. Suddenly, he notices things about her that most people completely overlook. He remembers tiny details from conversations, recognizes small changes in her appearance, and pays close attention to her mood, energy, and reactions. This heightened awareness is not random. Human psychology shows that the brain naturally becomes more alert toward people it emotionally desires. In many cases, a man may not even realize how obvious his behavior has become because attraction often operates beneath conscious control. His mind starts prioritizing her presence without him intentionally deciding to do so. A man who is deeply attracted will often look for excuses to interact more frequently. He may suddenly become interested in conversations that once seemed unimportant. He asks more questions, laughs more at her jokes, and finds reasons to continue talking even after the conversation should naturally end. This happens because emotional attraction creates stimulation inside the brain. Her attention becomes rewarding to him. Every interaction feels exciting, even if nothing major is happening. Sometimes women mistake this for simple friendliness, but there is usually a clear difference between casual politeness and emotionally charged attention. When a man consistently seeks opportunities to connect, there is often a deeper emotional or physical motivation underneath his actions. His observation skills also become unusually sharp. He notices when she changes her hairstyle, wears a different color, sounds tired, or behaves slightly differently than normal. Many men who are not emotionally invested rarely pay attention to these details, but attraction changes perception. The brain begins collecting information because the person becomes emotionally important. Even the smallest things start carrying emotional meaning. He may remember a random comment she made weeks ago or bring up something she casually mentioned once in passing. To him, these details matter because she matters. Eye contact becomes another major signal. A man having strong thoughts about a woman will often look at her differently. His gaze lingers longer than usual. Sometimes he quickly looks away when caught staring because attraction creates nervousness as well as excitement. Other times he maintains deep eye contact because he feels emotionally pulled toward her. Studies in body language consistently show that prolonged eye contact is closely connected to emotional interest and desire. The eyes naturally reveal focus, and focus reveals emotional investment. This is why women often sense attraction before a single romantic word is ever spoken. Another thing that changes is responsiveness. A man who is strongly thinking about a woman becomes more emotionally available to her. He replies faster, notices her absence more quickly, and becomes unusually interested in maintaining communication. If she disappears for a while, he notices immediately. If she sounds upset, he becomes concerned. Her emotional state begins influencing his own mood because attraction creates emotional attachment. Even before love develops, desire often increases emotional sensitivity. This is why some men appear unusually attentive compared to how they behave with everyone else. Physical behavior also changes in subtle ways. He positions himself closer to her during conversations. His body naturally turns toward her. He may lean in slightly while she speaks because his mind is fully engaged. Attraction creates unconscious body language shifts that are difficult to fake consistently. A man interested in a woman often mirrors her movements without realizing it. If she smiles, he smiles. If she lowers her voice, he adjusts his tone too. Psychologists call this mirroring behavior, and it commonly appears when emotional connection or attraction is present. Attraction can also create protective behavior. A man who is strongly thinking about a woman may become more aware of how others treat her. He notices disrespect quickly. He offers help more often. He checks whether she is safe or comfortable. This protectiveness does not always mean love, but it often signals emotional investment beyond surface level attraction. When a man starts mentally prioritizing a woman, his instincts naturally shift toward attention, concern, and involvement in her well-being. One important thing women must understand is that attention itself carries meaning. People invest energy where emotional interest exists. When a man consistently gives focus, remembers details, seeks connection, and emotionally reacts to a woman's presence, it is rarely accidental. Desire changes behavior long before words ever reveal the truth. Body language often reveals hidden attraction long before words do. A man may try to control what he says, but controlling physical behavior is much harder because the body naturally responds to emotional desire. When a man begins having strong romantic or physical thoughts about a woman, his movements, posture, facial expressions, and overall energy start changing in subtle but noticeable ways. Many women overlook these signals because they seem ordinary on the surface, yet human psychology shows that attraction consistently influences body language patterns. The body reacts honestly even when the mind attempts to stay calm. One of the strongest indicators is eye behavior. A man who is deeply attracted tends to watch a woman carefully. His eyes naturally search for her in crowded places. He maintains eye contact longer than usual because his attention becomes emotionally locked onto her presence. Sometimes he quickly looks away when caught staring, especially if he feels nervous or uncertain. Other times he holds the gaze confidently because he wants to create emotional tension and connection. Eyes communicate emotional focus better than words. When a man constantly notices a woman visually, it usually means his thoughts are emotionally occupied by her. Facial expressions also become more animated. Attraction increases emotional excitement, which causes more smiling, raised eyebrows, and stronger reactions during conversation. A man interested in a woman often lights up when she enters the room. His expression changes immediately, even before he consciously realizes it. This reaction happens because the brain releases chemicals linked to pleasure and anticipation when someone emotionally desired appears nearby. Women often sense this instinctively because genuine attraction creates visible warmth in a person's face and energy. Posture changes dramatically as well. Men naturally try to appear stronger, taller, and more confident around women they desire. He may straighten his back, broaden his shoulders, or adjust his clothing more frequently when she is present. These behaviors are often subconscious attempts to appear more attractive and masculine. Even small grooming actions can reveal hidden attraction. He fixes his hair, adjusts his sleeves, touches his face, or checks his appearance more often because he becomes highly aware of how she perceives him. Another powerful sign is physical orientation. The body naturally points toward whatever interests the mind. If a man consistently turns his feet, shoulders, or torso toward a woman during conversations, it usually signals engagement and attraction. Even in group settings, his body tends to face her more directly. Psychologists often study this behavior because it reflects unconscious emotional focus. When someone's attention is deeply invested, the body physically aligns itself with the source of interest. Nervous behavior also increases around attraction. A man who is strongly thinking about a woman may suddenly become restless or awkward in ways that seem unusual. He might speak faster, stumble over words, laugh too much, or fidget with objects nearby. Attraction creates emotional pressure because he wants to impress her while simultaneously fearing rejection or embarrassment. This mixture of excitement and anxiety creates tension inside the body, and that tension leaks into physical behavior. Some men become quieter instead of louder, especially if they feel intimidated by the woman they desire. Others become overly energetic because nervousness pushes them to perform socially. Touch becomes another revealing clue. A man attracted to a woman often looks for small, socially acceptable reasons to create physical contact. It may begin with light touches on the arm during conversation, playful nudges, or brief contact while helping her with something. These actions are rarely random. Human beings naturally seek physical closeness when emotional or romantic attraction grows. However, respectful men usually test boundaries carefully rather than acting aggressively. The way he reacts after physical contact also matters. If he seems highly aware of the moment or watches her reaction closely, attraction is often involved. Mirroring behavior is another important psychological sign. A man emotionally focused on a woman often copies her body language unconsciously. If she leans forward, he leans forward. If she lowers her voice, he may lower his too. If she smiles, he mirrors the expression almost instantly. This behavior happens because human beings naturally imitate people they feel emotionally connected to. Mirroring creates subconscious bonding and emotional synchronization. Voice tone can even change under attraction. A man may speak softer, slower, or more deeply around a woman he strongly desires. His speech patterns shift because emotional attention affects nervous system responses. Sometimes he becomes more playful or teasing because humor feels safer than direct emotional vulnerability. Other times he speaks with unusual seriousness because he wants her full attention. The important thing is consistency. When multiple body language signs appear together repeatedly, they often reveal hidden attraction far more honestly than words ever could. When a man begins having strong romantic or physical thoughts about a woman, he often starts testing emotional and physical boundaries in subtle ways. These behaviors usually do not appear suddenly or aggressively in the beginning. Instead, they emerge through small actions, playful comments, deeper conversations, and gradual attempts to understand how much emotional access he has to her. Human attraction naturally creates curiosity. A man who is emotionally interested wants to know how close he can become, how comfortable she feels around him, and whether his attention is welcome or rejected. Many women misunderstand these moments because the signals are rarely direct at first, but psychology shows that attraction often grows through gradual emotional exploration. One common behavior is increased teasing or playful challenges. A man who is thinking about a woman in a romantic way may joke with her more, lightly tease her, or create playful tension during conversations. This is not always immaturity. Often it is a way of building emotional chemistry without exposing deeper feelings too quickly. Humor becomes a safe emotional bridge. Through teasing, he watches her reactions carefully. If she laughs, responds playfully, or continues engaging with him, he interprets that as emotional openness. If she pulls away or becomes uncomfortable, he usually adjusts his behavior immediately. This is one of the earliest forms of emotional boundary testing. Conversation topics also begin changing. A man strongly attracted to a woman slowly moves discussions into more personal territory. He asks questions about relationships, emotional experiences, fears, desires, or personal beliefs. He may bring up subjects connected to romance or intimacy in indirect ways just to observe how she responds. These conversations are rarely random. He is trying to understand her emotional availability and comfort level. Attraction pushes people to seek deeper emotional access because surface level interaction no longer feels satisfying. Another major sign appears through attention-seeking behavior. A man having intense thoughts about a woman often wants to stand out in her mind. He may try harder to impress her with stories, achievements, humor, confidence, or generosity. Sometimes he becomes unusually competitive around other men because attraction naturally increases the desire for validation and exclusivity. If another man gains her attention, he may subtly react through jealousy, silence, irritation, or increased effort to regain focus. These reactions happen because emotional desire creates psychological investment. Once someone becomes emotionally important, competition begins affecting emotions more deeply. Physical boundary testing often begins in very small ways. A man may initiate brief touches during conversation, stand slightly closer than before, or find excuses for harmless physical contact. These moments are usually intentional, even if they appear casual. Human beings naturally use touch to test comfort and emotional connection. A respectful man watches carefully for signs of comfort or discomfort. If she responds positively, he feels encouraged. If she creates distance or seems uneasy, emotionally mature men back away immediately. The key difference lies in respect. Healthy attraction respects boundaries, while selfish desire ignores them. Texting behavior can also reveal emotional testing. A man who is strongly thinking about a woman may send messages at unusual times, create longer conversations, or subtly test emotional closeness through compliments and flirtation. Sometimes he intentionally delays replies to observe whether she notices his absence. Other times he increases communication dramatically because emotional excitement makes him crave connection. These patterns reflect emotional curiosity. He wants to know how much space he occupies in her thoughts. One overlooked sign is vulnerability testing. Attraction often pushes men to reveal emotional details they normally hide. He may talk about stress, personal struggles, family experiences, or insecurities to see whether she responds with understanding and emotional warmth. This behavior matters because men rarely expose vulnerability where they feel emotionally unsafe. If he begins opening up emotionally, it often signals growing emotional attachment alongside physical attraction. Attraction can also cause inconsistency in behavior because emotions create inner conflict. A man may appear very confident one day and distant the next. This often happens when he fears rejection or becomes uncertain about her feelings. Emotional desire increases sensitivity, and sensitivity creates hesitation. He wants closeness, but fears embarrassment or emotional disappointment. This emotional push and pull explains why some men alternate between bold attention and sudden withdrawal. Women must understand that these subtle tests are often attempts to measure emotional possibility. A man who is strongly attracted rarely reveals everything immediately. Instead, he slowly explores reactions, boundaries, comfort levels, and emotional connection. Over time, his words, actions, humor, touch, and emotional openness all become ways of asking silent questions without directly speaking them aloud. Protective behavior is one of the most misunderstood signs of attraction in men. Many women assume that when a man becomes protective, it automatically means deep love or emotional commitment. In reality, protection can sometimes grow from romantic desire, emotional attachment, physical attraction, or even instinctive admiration. When a man begins having strong thoughts about a woman, his attention naturally shifts toward her safety, comfort, and emotional well-being. Human psychology is wired this way. People instinctively become more alert toward individuals they emotionally value. This is why a man who is attracted often notices problems affecting her before anyone else does. A man experiencing strong attraction may begin checking whether she arrived home safely, asking if she ate, noticing when she looks tired, or stepping in when others disrespect her. These actions may appear small, but they reveal emotional focus. He becomes mentally invested in her condition because her emotional state starts influencing his own emotions. If she seems upset, he feels bothered. If she is happy, he feels relieved or excited. Attraction creates emotional connection long before official relationships even begin. Sometimes protective behavior appears socially. A man may pay closer attention to who surrounds her, how other men interact with her, or whether someone makes her uncomfortable. He may subtly position himself near her in unfamiliar environments or become more alert when she seems vulnerable. These actions often happen unconsciously because attraction activates both emotional and biological instincts linked to care and attention. He wants her to feel safe around him because safety creates emotional trust and closeness. However, women must recognize the difference between healthy protectiveness and controlling behavior. Genuine care respects freedom and boundaries. A respectful man offers support without trying to dominate decisions or control personal choices. He protects through presence, kindness, consistency, and emotional reliability. A controlling man, on the other hand, uses jealousy, pressure, or emotional manipulation while pretending it is protection. Real attraction values the woman herself, not ownership over her. Protective behavior also becomes visible during difficult moments. A man strongly attracted to a woman often becomes emotionally available when she struggles. He listens carefully, offers help quickly, and pays attention to emotional details that others ignore. Sometimes he remembers problems she mentioned weeks earlier and asks about them later. This level of emotional awareness reveals investment because emotionally detached people rarely carry someone else's concerns in their minds for long periods. Another important sign is patience. A man who genuinely cares often slows himself down emotionally and physically because he values her comfort more than immediate satisfaction. He respects boundaries, listens carefully, and avoids pushing too aggressively. This type of behavior reveals emotional maturity. Attraction combined with respect creates patience because he wants connection built on trust rather than pressure. Women should also understand that protectiveness alone is not enough to measure true intentions. Some men become protective simply because they desire emotional closeness or validation. The real test is consistency over time. Does he remain caring when things are inconvenient? Does he respect her emotions during disagreements? Does his behavior stay steady even when he gains nothing in return? Genuine emotional investment reveals itself through stable actions, not temporary intensity. Eye contact and voice tone are two of the strongest psychological signals of hidden attraction. Long before a man openly admits his feelings, his eyes and voice often begin revealing emotions he is trying to control. Human communication is deeply connected to nonverbal behavior, and attraction naturally changes the way a person looks, listens, and speaks. When a man has strong romantic or physical thoughts about a woman, his attention becomes emotionally focused on her presence. This focus immediately affects eye behavior. A man who is attracted usually maintains eye contact longer than normal. He watches her carefully during conversations, notices facial expressions, and studies reactions closely. Sometimes he stares without realizing it because attraction naturally pulls visual attention toward the desired person. If she catches him looking, he may quickly look away or smile nervously. Other men hold the gaze confidently because they want to create emotional tension and connection. Strong eye contact often creates a feeling of intensity because it signals emotional investment and interest. The eyes also react physically during attraction. Research in psychology shows that pupils can slightly widen when someone looks at a person they desire. Facial expressions become softer and more engaged as well. A man strongly focused on a woman often appears more emotionally present around her than around other people. Even in group settings, his eyes repeatedly return to her because his attention naturally follows emotional interest. Voice tone changes too. Attraction affects nervous system responses, which influences speech patterns. Some men speak more softly and calmly around a woman they strongly desire because they become emotionally focused and careful with their words. Others lower their voice slightly to sound more confident or masculine. A playful tone also becomes common because humor helps reduce tension while building emotional chemistry. Nervousness can create noticeable changes in speech as well. A man may talk faster, stumble over words, repeat himself, or laugh more than usual. This happens because attraction creates emotional pressure. He wants to impress her while also fearing embarrassment or rejection. Sometimes his voice becomes unusually energetic whenever she gives him attention because emotional excitement affects vocal expression naturally. Women should pay attention to consistency rather than isolated moments. Friendly people can maintain eye contact or speak warmly occasionally. But when a man repeatedly changes his gaze, tone, attention, and emotional energy around one specific woman, attraction is often influencing his behavior beneath the surface. Women must learn the difference between genuine respect and temporary desire, because not every man who shows attention has sincere intentions. Attraction can create intense behavior in the beginning, but true character reveals itself through consistency, patience, and emotional honesty over time. Some men become highly attentive only because they are emotionally excited or physically attracted in the moment. They give compliments, constant messages, deep eye contact, and strong energy, but their behavior changes once the excitement fades. This is why women should observe actions carefully instead of getting carried away by fast emotional intensity. A respectful man values a woman beyond appearance or short-term excitement. He listens carefully when she speaks, respects boundaries without pressure, and remains consistent even when things are difficult or inconvenient. His kindness does not disappear when he disagrees with her or when he is not getting attention in return. Respect remains stable because it comes from character, not temporary emotion. A man driven only by desire often becomes impatient. He pushes boundaries quickly, avoids emotional depth, or loses interest when he cannot get immediate validation. His effort usually decreases once he feels emotionally comfortable or physically satisfied. In many cases, his words sound powerful, but his actions slowly become inconsistent. Women should also pay attention to how a man behaves during moments of frustration. Real respect remains calm and controlled even during conflict. A sincere man communicates with maturity instead of manipulation, guilt, or pressure. Attraction alone can create excitement, but respect creates emotional safety. That emotional safety is what separates temporary desire from genuine care and meaningful connection.